Hi everyone, and welcome to the Capricorn October mid-month miracle message. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So hi all my Capricorns and anyone watching for a fellow Capricorn. I am going to do something a little different here in this reading. So this is not going to be as comprehensive as the monthly illumination reading, but this is a reading that's actually meant to draw attention to some aspect of your experience where a miracle is trying to come in for you. So this is basically working with spirit to help kind of open your third eye, that spiritual part of yourself, to be aware, to be observant in some aspect of your experience where there's an opportunity that's meant to really help come in and level up some aspect of your current experience. So I'm going to pull a card here first to kind of set the tone for the reading. This is going to be the main message. I'll read the oracle or the excerpt from the oracle book that comes with this deck. We'll dive a little deeper into it, and then I'll pull additional cards and some clarifiers to go a little deeper into the message itself. So we have building blocks, number 28, breaking down to a 10 and then further down to a 1. So this kind of harnesses the energy of endings and beginnings, which I like with the building block component, because there's almost this feeling coming through here just right off the bat that you might be building something new. That something that you had maybe been building up to a certain point was a foundation. Because I like that you can see that she's standing on a foundation, but there's new things coming in. So now it's kind of looking to that horizon as to what additionally do you want to build from this previously already built foundation. So let's go ahead and see here. Number 28. So it says building blocks, essential meanings, strong foundations, a beautiful work in progress. The oracle's message, it says, you have everything you need to cultivate an extraordinary life. This is a time when your focus needs to be on the foundations you build upon. Your work, your relationships, and your very being are underwritten by your values, ethics, morals, and core beliefs. Are they still true for you? Will they stand the test of time and serve as the solid grounding upon which you construct your life? Now you are making changes that will affect everything in a positive way. Your destiny is truly a remarkable and beautiful design. Now I'm also going to read the prosperity message because that's what we're looking at in this reading. A miracle that wants to come in, an opportunity to help bring in prosperity to some aspect of your experience. So it says, you have everything you need to turn iron into gold in the alchemical process of creating the prosperous life you desire. Now is the time to build on the strong foundation you have already laid for your prosperity. Keep in mind that these building blocks are imbued with the sparkling energy of your intentions. Own your dream and remember that you always have more than enough, and you always are enough. So abundance is ever present. Your creativity is divinely inspired, and the design for your life is taking shape in service to the world. You are meant for success. Love that. This is beautiful energy coming in for you here. So it's really about this month. Where can you kind of open yourself up spiritually to really take a look at the foundation you already have that's been built? And now where can you kind of reevaluate yourself? How much further have you come from when you first built that foundation? What has changed within yourself personally and in your current experience? And then now as you're looking forward to continue to build on that firm foundation, what is that going to look like? What does success look like to you now at this point as the person that you stand upon today? Because when you think about it, we're always changing. And so the person that started to build the foundation is not necessarily the same person that's standing on top of the foundation today. You have come so much further. You have been through so many more experiences. You have learned so much more about yourself. So there's an element here of now understanding, okay, I've gone through this process, but now that I do have this foundation built, where can I take it from here? Why did I build this foundation now or before? And where can I take it past this point? So there's an element of growth, which is really beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to pull 3 cards for the concepts of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And this first card here is going to be where Spirit would like you to kind of open yourself up through the superpower of curiosity to really see where perhaps you might be actually blocking yourself from taking advantage of what's coming in for you now to build something bigger and stronger and better on top of a current foundation. And maybe where I do kind of get the feeling of perhaps where you have a limiting mindset right now, where you feel maybe that what you have is not enough, or that you might be questioning if you are enough to continue on now in chasing a dream and kind of leveling up some aspect of your experience that was once tied to a future vision for yourself. Because when you think about it, we often will have a dream, and then that dream can expand as we start to work towards it. We might say the dream was to have the house, but then now that we have the house and we're safe and secure in that house, well, now maybe there's a bigger dream beyond that. Maybe now you want to share the home with others. Maybe now you want to expand on the house. Maybe you want to build, have land instead of just the home. So there's always this point of like where we can reach that beautiful foundation and say, okay, now what can we do from this point, and where am I in my experience as well? So hostilities, number 26, breaking down to the number 8, which is all about personal empowerment as well as our manifesting abundance in the physical experience. So when we're thinking about being curious as to where we might be actually pushing away opportunities. And for you guys, I think the big opportunity here is just realizing that you are the opportunity itself. There's something that lies within what you've already built, and that kind of having that faith to continue to move towards what you want to experience for yourself, that success, the building towards a new dream. Now, with hostilities, there's this feeling of kind of being the gatekeeper of, you being the one personally holding the sword and kind of saying like, no, I can't do this. I can't go there. This can be perhaps, where you don't want to let new people into your life, or maybe there's a big change that needs to happen. Maybe this could be where you are, having to change career fields, or you're maybe going from being a college student to being in the work world, or suddenly now you're retiring and you're going from being someone in the work world to someone out of the work world. And there's something there's some aspect of your experience now that's changing, that's asking you to kind of grow and expand your vision outward, which is wonderful. But there's a little bit of kind of the gatekeeper energy coming in, where it might be that, somebody's coming in and saying, well, hey, now that you're retired, are you going to finally move to the beach like you always said you were? And you're like, well, I don't have enough money. I'd love to do that, but I don't have enough, or maybe you're starting your own business, and it's one of those things where people are saying, well, maybe you could expand into this avenue, or I think, this is awesome that you're doing this, but what about if you go here? And you're like, no, I can't do that. I have to stay focused on this one thing, because if I don't, then I might end up, losing it all, or I might not be enough to be able to, take it into these different sectors, that kind of thing. So be curious as to where you might be pushing away the actual avenue for you to build on a current foundation you've already invested a lot of time and energy into. Just through the feeling of, I don't have enough, it's not the right time, I might not be enough. Yeah, the Fool, I love it. So the Fool is that fresh start. It's that leap into the unknown with full faith that the time is right, this is meant to be. And I love that the King of Wands comes up. The King of Wands is that dynamic, fiery CEO, boss energy. It's the energy of someone who lives from a place of passion. They know what lights their fire, and they go out there and they live a life that is from a leadership perspective, meaning that they lead in the action they take from the place of passion. So they're constantly moving and growing and focusing on in that moment what really again allows their internal fire to be seen, to be utilized in their experience. But there is something here for some of you where I think there is a leap that you've been kind of putting off, because this can kind of be a card of avoidance. And the leap is into, this can be becoming your own business owner. This can be taking charge of some aspect of your life where maybe you had to, kind of put aside your passions for a while. And it's time now to say, it's time to take a leap into something that you love. It's time to take a leap into owning this leadership aspect of who you are. Because the other part of the King of Wands is that this is somebody who has mastered working with their passions. This is someone who knows what lights them up, knows how they can utilize it, and does it in a responsible way, in a way that says, if I don't stand up and lead in this area, if I don't stand up and work with my passions, well, then who will? If I don't live my life from that place, then who will? And it's you, Capricorn. And I think that's beautiful. There is this beautiful energy of it's time to take the leap, because that leap is going to bring you into your full power. And I do, again, get that feeling that it's already building on something that you have created for yourself. So it's not just I'm taking a blind leap and leaving everything behind. It's saying, no, you've built a firm foundation. Honor that, realize what it is, but now realize that there's a point here where you have an opportunity to level up yourself, to level up into this, again, kind of boss energy in your own life. Beautiful. But it is doing something new. There's an aspect here of you're working with what you already have, but you're bringing a new perspective. You are taking the leap into something new. So again, if this could be that you are, leaping out of being in the work world for the last 40 years and now you are retired. So what are you going to do with that? How are you going to live your passion? Are you going to just kind of go through the same routine, or are you going to kind of break out of the mold and leap full-heartedly into being a retired individual now? Or is this now where maybe your children have left the home and it's kind of the empty nester thing, and maybe now you're like, well, you know what? I would love to go back to school and do something new with my life, or I'm going to leave my current job and I'm going to start my own business. There's this feeling of, again, when you think about maybe doing something along those lines, that you built up a level of foundational experience in some, work avenue, and now you can take that leap into being your own boss, but you're building on the foundation you already have, the experience you already have in that industry or that field, and now you get to build on it. You get to expand upon that, and you get to, as you do that, really step into realizing a great dream for yourself that perhaps you're not even realizing until just this moment. You've kind of been limiting yourself in that aspect. Okay, so now I'm pulling. Oh, you have 3 cards. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm pulling cards now for courage, and this is what Spirit would like you to keep in mind as you are gaining the courage to take action here, especially to take this leap. So we have surrender to your soul's path. It says your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson in every moment. We have surrender your desire to control people. Being over-controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room. And then it says surrender outdated beliefs about yourself, which I love coming in here at the very end. Let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. Then you can own your power and soar into your life. These are all very important messages here when we are thinking about getting the courage to jump into something new or to really jump into something we're passionate about. Because surrendering to your soul's path first. This is that reminder that I'm getting the feeling coming through, which is really interesting, that there's a level of regret coming through, Capricorn, and I'm not sure where that's coming from, but intuitively, this is screaming regret to me. And the one thing I can say with that is this is that reminder that we are always on our path. We are never off our path. So it's not like, well, I got got pulled over into this place of work for the past 25 years, and now 25 years of my life is gone, and I should have done this other thing instead, and I might have been someplace else. And this is saying, no, we each have our own soul's path, our individual path that we are to tread. And we may get stuck at a certain point on that path, meaning that we decide that we choose not to continue to walk forward and change. And we all have those moments in our life where we kind of hit a boulder, and it can be an internal boulder, it can be an external boulder, but it doesn't mean that we ever deviate from our actual soul's path. It just means that we've decided to take a break instead of continuing down the path. So your path is still there. Everything that you wish and desire and want to experience in this life is still out there waiting for you to continue down as you go towards your fullest potential, which is the end of your path. So saying where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. It's exactly where you should be. And it's a beautiful reminder that each one of our paths are different. Some people's go up and down and all over, but at the end of the day, this is your path. So really get to that place of being in the present moment to appreciate every little bit of it, even the hard stuff, even the parts that were difficult to go through, because that's what makes you, you. And then it says, surrender your desire to control people. Now, this is an interesting one because this also came up for the Taurus reading as well. And it is something, it's not just that, we have to, that we're trying to make people be a certain way, or that we're like overtly trying to control a situation by saying, no, you need to do it like this. This can actually be very subtle, where we are trying maybe not to do something. We're trying either not to share something about our experience, or we're trying not to do something ourselves because we're trying to control the anticipated outcome from the other person, meaning that we're not going to tell somebody that we really want to start our own business because we're afraid that the other person is going to respond with a negative response. And so in omitting the sharing of what we really want to do, we actually are trying to control the other person's response. We're not allowing them to have the freedom to express their opinion if that comes to be. But we also have to get to that place of really understanding that when we release our desire to control other people and their reactions, we also get to this place of realizing that we have to be clear on what we want. We have to be in a place to be courageous to take authentic action, and to realize that you're strong enough to handle if another person says, I don't agree with that. Well, that's their opinion. And you're strong enough to be able to either A, work through that with the other individual, or B, walk away from it if you need to. How other people choose to react or not react or act in general, you have no control over. The only thing you have control over is yourself and the actions that you choose to take. So if it means just removing yourself from a situation completely, well, then so be it. But there is this feeling of once you release yourself from the worry of, what is somebody else? How are they going to react? How are they going to respond? That pressure gets taken off, and the realization is, I'm living my life, and this is what will help me level up. This is what I want to start building towards my dream. And ironically enough, a lot of times when we let go of that fear of trying to, control, we don't want to hear somebody tell us no. We don't want to hear somebody tell us that this might not be the best idea, or that we shouldn't do this. That when we actually do share that part of ourselves, that it's then that the other person says, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you wanted to do that. Or you take the action, you do it, and the other person says, wow, I'm really proud of you. I didn't think it was going to work, but this is incredible. Thanks for leading the way. So really, really step up into the ownership, Capricorn, of what you want, of taking this kind of leap into this very self-empowered place, and realizing that you can't always control other people's responses and reactions. So you have to kind of just go from what you want. So we have also surrendered outdated beliefs about yourself. I love this because this is like the number one thing that was kind of calling to me, even from, the message here with the building blocks. There's this feeling coming through very strongly of you're stronger than you know. You've come a lot further than I think you've realized. And it's almost coming to this place now where you're being called to kind of level up in some aspect of your experience, and you're not realizing how much you've mastered something in some aspect of your life. And so it's time to realize, like, if you want to make that move, you have everything necessary to make that move, whether it's a house move, whether it's a career move, whether it's, buying the house, whether it's, getting your family to go on that amazing adventure where you guys take a year off and travel across the country. Whatever it is, there's something here where Spirit's coming in to say the miracle that's trying to come in, the building on the firm foundation towards the new. There's something here that has to tie into a self-realization that I think some of you are kind of closed to, that realization of how far you've come, taking stock of the lessons learned, releasing regret, releasing trying to, be worried about, how other people might react or not react, or will they fall in line or whatever, and just say, it's time to come to that place of, I'm the one that makes my dreams come true. And I'm going to be the one to kind of take the reins and, leap into the unknown, but taking with me the foundation I've built, taking with me everything I've learned up to this point. Okay, now I'm going to pull a card here for the concept of contemplation. And this is going to be where Spirit would like you to be open and reflective throughout the month, to kind of give you that extra point of awareness. Oh, we have two. So we have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations. I love that divine plan. And then we have Mintonkin, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. I love this for you. So with Anna, grandmother of Jesus, now regardless of, whether you're religious or not, or what you choose to believe in that capacity, the concept of grandmother of Jesus is that when you think about it, the grandmother of Jesus didn't know that when she was pregnant with her daughter, Mary, that Mary was going to have a son that would end up becoming a religious leader that people thousands of years later would still remember, and that would have a lasting impact on the lives of many different people. She instead focused solely on loving her daughter and providing her with the best and nurturing experience, with faith that what she was doing was going to have a lasting impact in and of itself. Just that loving of who you are, what you can give, and how you can be of service. And I think for some of you, you need to hear this, that what you're building and what you're focusing on will have and has had a lasting impact. That the children you've raised, or the people you've been a manager to, or a mentor, or the business you've built that's allowed others to have jobs, that there's something here deeper in what you've done in your life that you haven't given yourself credit for. And it's time to really understand that what you've done is part of a greater plan, and you should be very proud of it. And now it's time for you to build for yourself. And I like that the longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. There's a feeling too of maybe perhaps you kind of felt out of place for a lot of your life. Maybe you didn't feel like you quite fit in with this friend group or that friend group, or in this business or that business, or maybe even in your own family. Sometimes we can be the ones that feel like we are kind of, maybe not necessarily the black sheep, but maybe we're the ones that are just a little outside of the norm. Everybody else followed a specific path, and you were always the one that maybe went, sang their own tune or saw things from a different perspective. But what this is saying is that longing, that kind of being outside the box and not quite fitting in has led you on the journey that has allowed you to be of service in the way that you have to others. And that's now going to allow you to really step up into, I think, a more heightened version of that self. And that really, many of us will go through life feeling like that, feeling like we maybe don't quite belong, or we're constantly looking for that place that will feel like home or that we can call home. And the reality of it is, home is within each one of us. It is that abiding grand dream of where we would feel the most comfortable, who we would be surrounded by. And we have to create that for ourselves. We can't expect others to create it for us. And so there is this element of really kind of getting into that energy of getting to that place of being at home with you, with who you are, with your whole life experience to date, and with where you want to go from this point forward, and how you want to really step up and take leadership in your life. What do you want to build for yourself? I really like this. I'm going to get a couple clarifiers here. I just want to get a couple clarifiers for the surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. So let's see here. What does Spirit want you to know about surrender outdated beliefs about yourself? 5 of Wands and 4 of Swords. Yeah, I think there's a little bit around 5 of Wands can be healthy competition. It can be also the feeling kind of chaos, where there's just like too much going on, too many cooks in the kitchen, everybody kind of coming in with their thing. And I think, though, for a lot of you with the surrender outdated beliefs about yourself, there's this element of not thinking that you are good enough to kind of go back out there into some aspect of your life, that you might not have enough to compete, that you might not be good enough. And with the 4 of Swords is taking that momentary pause to really rest, reflect, and really find your truth in the areas where you've been wounded in the past. Those kind of negative thoughts that kind of haunt us in the background of the whispers of, yes, but you're not good enough in this area. Remember when your boss told you that 25 years ago? Or remember when somebody dumped you and said you weren't lovable in this aspect of your life? Or remember, those kinds of little thoughts that pop up, the friend group that turned their back on you or whatever. And the truth lies within of actually who you are and the reality of those circumstances, that maybe in that moment you did feel inferior or less than, or you believed that when somebody said you weren't lovable. But the reality of it is, now you can look back at those from a much higher, broader perspective, and to find the truth and to realize the strength that it took to go through those times in your life, and that now you're being asked to go through that again, but with a broader perspective of how much stronger you are and how you can really step up into a leadership position right now, where you can take a leap into something new and really kind of take the reins instead of maybe being led just kind of down the path like you had felt you had been before. Now it's time to say, no, you're totally capable of handling chaos. You're totally capable of handling competition. And it's time to realize how strong you are and the truth of how much you've gone through. Okay. And I'm going to get I want to get one for the, or a couple cards for the longing for home, the original light workers. There's something about that just kind of keeps, there's a deep sorrow that kind of comes from that card. We have 2. Yeah. 6 of Cups and Knight of Wands. Yeah, this is a card of nostalgia, of the 6 of Cups, of kind of looking back in time at something. It's almost like for some of you, I think it's looking back at a time with fondness when you felt that you were more free, when you felt like you were kind of living life to its fullest, that everything was great, and you were kind of just free to do what felt good. And there's this feeling, I think, for some of you that you don't somehow feel like you can have that now, or that it's been kind of taken from you. And this is a reminder that you can step up into that. In fact, you can go from the Knight of Wands to the King of Wands now, where you get to control the true level of freedom. You have an ability, I think, this month to break through a perceived boundary. It's almost like the foundation you built, you've been looking at that as this was it. I built my castle. And in reality, when you step back at this very moment, you realize that castle is a lot smaller than you thought it was. It's actually not a castle. It's the foundation for the real castle to come. And so I think if you can kind of take a look at your perspective, you can change your perspective a little bit like that to really take kind of pull out, instead of being so kind of laser focused on something, to really pull out and realize, wow, yeah, I'm being given everything in this moment to build the castle, to build the dream. Where I'm standing right now is not the end of the dream. It's actually the sturdy foundation to build on that dream, to build it bigger and better. But I have to take the leadership in that. Okay, so here's a final kind of point around the energy of love. It says, keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. I really find this interesting to come in here. So there's an element here for some of you that when we think about soulmates are not always just necessarily, in fact, more often than not, they are not romantic partnerships or romantic people who come into our life. These are actually friends, they're parents, they're even children. They're people who come into our life that are meant to kind of push us to grow, that are also meant to help. At different times in our life, we may come into contact with somebody who becomes our business partner, or somebody who becomes our cheerleader or our mentor. It can be somebody like a child who all of a sudden gives us purpose and focus at the right time in our experience. There is this element here of really saying, keep an open mind that your soulmate, you may be wishing that you had somebody else in your life experience that maybe was supporting you, with this kind of longing for home, that maybe that this person would help free you or was more free in some aspect. But this is saying that your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations, meaning that it's really, I think, really as a kind of extra message here for where the miracle is trying to come in, is really looking at in your life who is coming in at this moment that's kind of like outside the box for you, that's pushing you to maybe become this person, that's pushing you to really take a look at taking this leap. And again, that could be a child, that could be a new friend, a neighbor that you've just moved next to. But there's something here where this is kind of like the key, the crux to this whole thing, that the person I think right now who is pushing you the most or is pulling you the most towards this new change, that's the soulmate. And that's really going to become your why. Again, whether this could be a spouse, this could be a significant other, but really kind of look at that and see what is this person pushing for you to break through, to continue down your soul's path, to build the castle on top of what you're now realizing is only a foundation. It's only the tip of the iceberg, Capricorn. All right, I'm going to leave it there because this reading got a little longer than I expected, but this is a really powerful message, much, much more powerful, I think, than what was coming through for the other signs. So really prepare yourself for a time of leveling up. And again, remember not to regret the past, and keep in mind that what you've already done has laid the seeds for a foundation that will be remembered by many, and that what you're doing now for yourself can only build on that, can only elevate it. All right, Capricorn, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of October. I look forward to seeing you in November for your illumination readings. And if you'd like to book a reading or just learn more about the services that I offer, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.